This is a Martin 11,000 BTU direct vent wall heater. Has three models: 8,000 BTU, 11,000 BTU, and 20,000 BTU. It comes with the venting already. That's a direct vent. It has the cap and everything, and it's optional to have that viewing glass, and I highly recommend the viewing glass. I like being able to see the flame when it's going, and it's just nice ambiance. I prefer this type of unit over the central unit. Central units makes a lot of noise sometimes, especially as they get older. I like to heat the front of the trailer and not necessarily the back room. I like it cooler back there, so it actually becomes more efficient instead of circulating the air throughout the trailer. And then while that fan's going, it's draining your battery, and if you're relying on solar, that's a big issue. This unit has a built-in thermostat and seems to work fine. I've been real happy with it, and can highly recommend it. And I'll put together some videos of how I put this thing in here. So to give you an idea how hot the stove gets, it's been on for quite a while. It's over 75 degrees in here now. So this wall, yeah, no problem. It's warm, and that's about it. Top of the unit, I can touch it, but it's hot. So actually, I have a thermometer. So right at the fire, we're shooting the flame. I'm 250 degrees or so. And then where the grill is, up to 500, it looks like. Over 450 consistently. And then up higher, it cools off. It's around 200. Actually a little bit lower. And then the wall behind is around 100 degrees. And then the TV, it's getting to be about 100 degrees. So pretty safe overall as far as I'm concerned. So this is how I installed the stove. So it comes apart like, there's the main unit, there's the grill. Now here's a box I had to make for it. Show you how this works. So that goes over this like this. The stove requires a minimum thickness. I forget what it is. It's over 3 inches, I believe. And it looks like, because I did this a while back, I even had to trim down this collar on this. So keep that in mind when you put the trailer. The other option would probably be build this bigger or thicker. But I like the setup I have now. So anyway, it's 1.5 inch 2x4s with 3/4 inch plywood. Now you see the hole is off-centered, and on the unit, the vent is 2 inches off-center from the unit. So you got to keep that in mind when you're laying this thing out. So anyway, here's the wall penetration. You have about an 1/8 inch plywood right there, then another inch of styrofoam, and then on top of that you'll have your metal siding. And so that's what you're cutting through. My cut here is pretty crude. That's a 6-inch hole for that vent. So I was really tight in here between the window and not want to get any closer. I needed to onto this wall here. I was really tight on space. So I had to penetrate the floor, 1-inch hole that allows 3/8 inch gas line to come up into the unit. And so here's my gas line setup. That's a 1/2 inch iron pipe. It runs across the trailer and terminates just outside the trailer. I'll take you over. So this is the other side of the trailer. Right now I'm just running off a 5-gallon tank. I have a bigger tank. It's lasted a really long time actually. I've been real happy with it. So there's how I installed it. It's starting to rain, so I'm done outside here. That's just 1/2 inch iron pipe with a metal plumber's tape holding it up. So here we have things from the outside. And actually, you can see there's about 1/8 inch plywood, then 1 inch of foam, and then there's about another 1/4 inch of some other foam, and then metal siding. So we're at 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches for our air gap for our spacer frame, and then 3/4 of an inch. So we're at 3.5 inches. And a standard wall is going to be 4.5 inches because of sheetrock and siding. And I think that's the minimum they required without having to trim some of the metal for the air intake and exhaust. So anyway, I think that gives you a good view of what's going on as far as how it's constructed. So then goes in our heat shield. Something like that, one-handed. Anyway, I'll fine-tune that. Next, is the actual vent, and it does this. Since I'm hand-holding this, I'm not going to try to install anything, but that's how it assembles. So this exhaust is held on with this very, very long screw right there. It goes in like that. This piece is actually separate from this piece, but I put so much caulking on it, it became one piece when I tore this apart to show how this was built. So to install the stove, first I'm going to replace the spacer I made. It's been previously installed and I marked it so I know where the holes are, at least theoretically. So the heat shield is on, and then the stove goes in like this. You don't remember you have these spacers that have to go behind it. I don't know if you can see that. So there I have the stove back in place, hanging. One issue I had with the stove after I'd burned it for about a month, the glass door down here came loose, fell down a little bit, it was sucking air a little bit. It took me a while to notice it, and I just had to reposition it. You have to loosen these screws and do whatever, and it was a little pain because the gasket has to be just right. But anyway, once I did that, it was running fine. The other thing is, one of their fittings down here, right where the gas line comes in, was leaking ever so slightly. It was just one of those annoying things I finally traced down. Real minor, but other than that, the things work great, and I highly recommend it. Well, this concludes my video of a Martin 11,000 BTU direct vent liquid propane wall stove. One thing I'd like to mention on its behalf is I'm in a high wind area. I'm overlooking the Pacific Ocean right there, and I get hit with probably at least 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and you can see my the vent for the stove right there. I've never had problems with wind blowing it out or disrupting it. Maybe it had a slight effect if I paid attention, but that was really important to me. I was afraid it was going to affect it or blow out the pilot light, so that's really not been an issue. So in closing, if you like this video and would like to see another one about my experience and my installation of a composting toilet in an RV, a real composting one that you only have to change the basket out every month or two, give me some thumbs up. Anyway, we'll see you later.